Welcome back to Just in Our Minds. This is Felicia Marie. She is one of my friends. She's become more of a dear friend. What episode number was that with her? Was that 31? 26. Jesus, we're on 30. This will be 36? No, 35. 36. So for all the sixes, you're going to go.
I love it.
I'll bring you in for 46.
Yeah, love it.
So she is a high performance, she's a mental, I don't even know, what else would I say for there? She's a
hypnotherapist, high performance coach.
Yeah. She's a high performance coach, hypnotherapist, and she will help get rid of that childhood trauma and those little dark spaces in your mind that you can't seem to reach. She'll get all the cobwebs out for you. She's been helping me out a lot. She has gone through a lot herself. Like I said, episode 26, you can see some of what she went through and how she went from the darkness and created the light and become a healer in herself. So getting back into it, you've been helping me out. Your audios have been amazing. What would you call those audio?
They're hypnotherapy recordings that I create.
Hypnotherapy.
Yeah, so it is hypnotherapy.
Yeah, no, it's great. Like right off the cuff, she sends them to me. I listened to them the first night. I've been having some sort of a mental roadblock when it comes to closing some of the bigger sales that I have going on for online coaching and in-person coaching, and I closed 2 that morning. I don't believe in coincidences. It's serendipitous. It's synchronistic. It's once you help get into alignment, it's been even if like, because she says they'll listen to it once in the morning, once in the evening, depending on, and then sometimes I'll even put it on and fast forward a little bit just to hear it if I'm stressed, and then I'll just in case, like I'll just find a section in there, boom, and then give me a minute or two through breathing, and then I'll just tap in.
Wow, that's pretty phenomenal. Hell yeah. I was so excited when you told me that you closed some clients because I've had my own mental blocks with that. And it was a huge reminder to me of like, okay, Felicia, there's obviously something going on within you. I believe in the mirror. So when you told me what you're going through, I resonated with it. And I was like, time to like take my own medicine of what I give to people.
Yeah. You know? And it made me realize that like I'm, movement aficionado. I'm really strict on form, but then when it comes to like my mental reps, I could compare myself to somebody from my past or past versions of myself. But that doesn't mean it's better, but it's not great.
Right.
Yet. And same with jujitsu and everything else. It's just you can only know as much as you know.
Yes, you can't see your own stuff. Like there was a Buddhist that I learned from. He was talking about how close your mouth is to your nose, like the distance between that. And he was like, you can't even smell your own breath, let alone see your own shit. So we need somebody to do that for us. We need people in front of us to mirror what we need to see. So it's the acceptance of we're not here to do it by ourselves. And it's really hard for people that are like high level entrepreneurs, athletes. It's like really understanding and being able to accept that just because you're so great, Justin, which you are, doesn't mean you don't have battles, doesn't mean you don't have blocks, doesn't mean that you don't have darkness. And it doesn't matter what level you get to, because I worked with really wealthy people. They have even more shit when I work with them than people that are at lower levels.
Because they compact it, right?
Yes, they compact it and they move quick.
Compactor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they move fast. They're fast movers. They take action really quick. They don't really sit and think about stuff. And it's just like, move it over here, move forward, move it over here, right? So the higher you grow in your own evolution as a person, an entrepreneur, they say with new levels comes new devils. They're talking about the demons inside of your mind, the blocks, the limitations, the belief systems, the stories. You have to elevate them every time.
Apparently, like when I first started having my first $10,000 months, like I realized quickly that like your habits don't go away.
No.
Now you got money for all of it. And it regardless if it's caffeine, substances, late nights, whatever that may be for people, cars, luxuries, purses, like we all have different forms of the dopamine pleasure monkey that runs up and holds our hand. And it's if you don't address and fix those habits, they just get amplified with the cash.
Yes. Oh, I love that you shared that because I really believe that. The dopamine, what did you call it? The dopamine?
A little dopamine monkey. Because that's what me and Bradley talk is like, you got to take that little cookie and feed that and let him go to the back of the bind again.
The first book I ever read on my journey to healing like 8 years ago was called The Hacking of the American Mind. And he teaches you about how these companies like Coca-Cola and Kellogg's and all these places have literally figured out the science of how to hack your reward systems to make money off of you. And so I actually deal a lot of that with a lot of my clients is retraining what drives them. Because like what drove you 5 years ago doesn't drive you now. It's not even like you don't even want anything to do with it. That's a huge battle for entrepreneurs because then they don't have the same motivative drive or the same motivation and driver as they did before. Like the pain, the trauma, the wounding, the limiting beliefs will get you to a really far place. You'll be very successful with that. But then when you start healing that inner child, you're like, well, I actually don't even want to do this anymore. Why am I even doing this?
Yeah.
It's a huge transition for people to go through.
And it's like, I catch myself sometimes too being like, I got to listen to this for 19 minutes this morning. And I'm like, because I think I got to be doing something else. I'm like,
oh,
you got an extra 19 minutes. Like, it's fine. You know, like it's like not every morning, but if I woke up 5 minutes later, then there's just that in the
resistance.
Morning. Yep. Resistance.
The resistance.
Yeah.
Where does that, I'm like, let's just go into it. Where does that come for you? Is it the timing? Is it the 5 minutes? Is it how you're feeling in that moment? Like try to check in with that. What is it really?
I just think it's an excuse,
Yeah.
but it's also, you know, I've like last night, like I wake up yesterday. I woke up at, I don't know, 4:30 or something. I've been waking up at 2:40 for some reason too.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's energetic with some of the new phases
your
of the
circadian
world.
rhythm
Circadian rhythm.
Recalibrating.
Also, my glycene's probably lower right now, and I need to take 3 grams per day, or at least before bed, so that I can get into the deeper sleep. Something's going on with
What
my
about your
amino
5-HTP? Are you doing that?
I take some stuff with 5-HTP. I just don't know at what level. But then I know too, if you take too much of it, you can have serotonin syndrome, and I don't want to go that route either. But I have been implementing more. I do take sleep supplements. I just haven't been taking the U theory one that I usually take.
Okay.
And I think I need a higher amount of glycine because some of the things with like ketamine or anything like that, it'll burn through GABA, blood sugar, and glycine.
Yeah, that makes sense. So that is probably the dip, and that's why you're waking up early.
Yeah, 100%. So it's just like the reformulating, and that can take up to a year, but that's without supplementation. So I think it'll be a faster track.
Right. So when you're waking up early, is there something in your mind that's like, what causes the resistance to put the headphones in?
Oh, and with the headphone, I just put it on like in general, but I just think it's in the morning. It's like a new thing, and it was cool the first 3 days. And then like after that, when I don't wake up with the same dopamine, and then if I pick up my phone, I catch myself trying to go to other stuff. So I think it is just the resistance of just being, putting it into the pattern and know it's going to help me rather than being like, oh, well, no, I got to take 15 minutes off my gym workout now and this, that, and the other. And it's a new routine.
Yeah.
So
and that reptilian brain is coming in heavy.
Yeah. And then in the morning too, especially, you're not like as logical.
Yeah.
So for me, it's just making sure I can see that it's more powerful than the gym's going to be for me.
Yeah. What's really interesting about this, and I'm glad we're talking about this because I feel like the listeners really need to understand this, that it's the iceberg. The subconscious mind is 95% of who you are. And that part of you is below the surface. And you don't access that part of you through logical thought and prefrontal activation. And so what happens when you start reprogramming, especially with my program, because I do neuroaccelerated hypnosis, like most hypnotherapists do not operate the way that I do. They'll sit you down on a couch and do a single session and send you on your way. And not to say anything bad about that, I just don't think it works. Honestly, I don't. I think repetition is a mother of all learning. And when we do something repeatedly is how we actually reprogram. So if this Justin has been programmed for over 30 years, you really think that listening to it for 5 days is going to change all of that? No. And that's that reward dopamine hacked system in us that makes us want it right away. So what I do to actually reprogram the entire nervous system is I have my clients listen to it for 2 weeks straight. And the hardest part for them, like every single person, is just sitting down and putting in the headphones. Taking 20 minutes to themselves seems to be the most challenging things of their lives. And that is like massively imbalanced on our planet everywhere. Like to be able to actually unplug from your reality and get into a theta brainwave state, which is the only way you access your subconscious. Just so you know, it's actually a brainwave state you go into. The only way to reprogram that is to get in that state, but that requires that you actually take that time for yourself, which a lot of people can struggle with. And so the resistance that's coming up for you is you're a goer, you're a doer. Like you do a lot, you train hard. So not only am I like brushing up against whatever your belief systems are, me having you sit down and listen to that is really rubbing up against that part of you that doesn't want to slow down.
Exactly. And I took so much time away from like meditation and sitting down and reading books again. And so I think this is going to be, it's just, it's a skill I need to redevelop.
Yeah.
You know, it's that.
Yeah.
What I did, so I was like, okay, well, if you're going to do that, then we're going to let you listen to most of it. And then for like the last 3 minutes before coming back, I'll get up and walk to the living room and still listen to it at least. And then now what I'm going to do is I plan on, because when I go out to Arkansas, I'll just do it for another, like a full 2 weeks too.
Yeah,
and just to add to it, unless there's something else you want me to do. But
I
just want to make sure, but that way I can continue it. And, but yeah, so like some days, other days I'll be able to lay there. Like this morning I was able to lay there and listen to the whole thing. But yeah, there was a couple days where I'm like, oh, you couldn't even last 2 weeks, huh?
Yeah. Remember I was telling you when I was sitting with you, I was like, hey, like reach out when you're feeling that. Cause I see it with every client. Like they're like, no, it's fine. I'm going to be able to do it. And I'm like, I'm telling you, I know what I'm creating here. Like I know what my tracks do for people. I understand. I myself as a person and a coach, I'm a pattern interrupter. I will come into your world and interrupt every story that you tell yourself, all the belief systems, the way that you're living, the way that you're not living. Like I'm here to interrupt. I'm here to completely like separate your old self with your new self so that you can look at it. So I remember telling you, like, I just had a feeling. I was like, I know it's going to be easy for you because you have such high level of awareness, but I also know what my magic is, and this is going to disrupt something in your subconscious mind. So what's beautiful about subconscious work is you can listen to this track for a couple of weeks, and without your energy and thought and intention, things change. They change below the surface, and you magically start to witness things differently in your life. And I think it is honestly the coolest, most magical thing I've ever experienced in my life, is to just like watch something magically unfold because I've put it in my mind, right? Repetitively. And I just feel like there's so much magic in that. And it's very transformative, right?
Yeah. And that's where I'm looking forward to that. And it's so hard to like think of, and I know it's probably a lot of people too. It's not just like a physical thing. It's like changing an internal dialogue in a voice. It's not just switching out a microphone in your head. You know, and so I've been planting that seed along with what you're planning to be like, hey, just stick this out for a year. It's going to be different. You're a white belt. You don't even have a belt right now. Like
exactly.
You don't even have a gi. You just came in there with board shorts that are falling off. So
right.
Apparently.
A year from now, you're going to look back and
your
see
mouth
the gi.
breathing. It's been 1 minute in.
I feel called out right now, Justin. I feel called out.
I wasn't paying attention over there. I was just saying like that's what it is for me. You know, I'm an analogy based person because I feel things, but I don't always get the vision. So I have to create the vision for myself.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You'll see within a few weeks, it's actually pretty drastic. Once you move through that resistance that you're feeling and you push through that, like just really in those moments, so like the next step with us is me helping you create that relationship with your subconscious mind and becoming the master of the reptilian mind. So what's going on is you have this dichotomy inside of your brain. And when you understand brain science, you understand that it's very real. Your reptilian brain is a version of you that is there to keep you safe and protect you and keep you in these old patterns that you've had. I'm coming in with my voice and the energy that I have and the binaural beats, and I'm creating commands to your subconscious mind. So I'm commanding to your subconscious mind that you put yourself first. I'm commanding to your subconscious mind that you are worthy of everything that you want in life. Your reptilian brain and the old programming, even your biochemistry, is saying, no, that is not true, Justin. You're not worthy. And let me tell you why. Because of this. Remember when you did this in the past? Remember when you made that bad mistake? Oh yeah, remember when you did this? Your brain is trained to keep you safe in that, even if you're gonna die. It doesn't understand right from wrong, good or bad. It just knows what it's used to. So these tracks are coming in and it's breaking down the rocks and the stones that are around who you truly are and who you're going to be. And it's not easy. Like you'll have an internal battle in your mind. So the next step is like whatever that roommate's name is that lives in your head that's telling you that you're not worthy. It's time to put him in check, right? And give him a place where he actually belongs. You need him to live with you, but he's not supposed to be in control. And whenever he tries to step in and tell you, you know what, just listen to it for 20 minutes, but the last 4 minutes walk away. That's not you.
No.
That's not Justin. That's not your soul. That's not who you are. That's reptilian brain coming in to take control. That's the biochemistry and the feedback, the neurofeedback. And the moment that you decide to take back the steering wheel is the moment the rest of your life changes. It's that moment. It's not listening to it every time. It's in that one moment where you're like, nope, I'm doing this. And you tell him who's boss and you take back that control. Your whole wiring and neurochemistry in your nervous system will actually take that command. It will listen to you way better than it will listen to me because it's trained to listen to you. I'm just kind of like giving you that little push, to take back the steering wheel of your life, chemically, mentally, emotionally, physically even, I would say, because it's an interjection in your nervous system response. And that's the resistance you're feeling in your nervous system is like, oh, there's something here for me. It's talking to you. It's telling you. And that's when you lean in, right? And you know this on the mat. You know these moments on the mat where you're like exhausted and you know that you're fighting yourself and you're making it harder on yourself. And it's just that one little shift of like, okay, I need to take a deep breath, need to calm down. What's my next move? And then everything changes.
It has to, listening to it. It's interesting because I can listen to it in the evening better than I can in the morning. And it's just like having that, it's just a new thing in the morning, And and I've been better about, like our first podcast, you told me about that too, was like naming it. And, it's like, that's meathead or whatever. Like that's because that was what was tattooed across my chest. That was my nickname for a long time. Still is when I go to California, but so it's like identifying that thing as a thing, rather than like
you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
Right. You literally can't because it is a part of you and you're going to have it for the rest of your life.
And being able to dissect the two and be like, no. So I've been able to catch myself better than I have in the past. And when I was feeling better, it was good. But, with the stress and cause I've had I wouldn't say level 10 stress, but my body's been so stressed out. Like I've had to back off my workouts really heavy, and mitigate that, which is fine. I think that's part of awareness. And Serba and one of the other guys we had on, he talks about that. He's 52, looks like he's in his 30s.
Yes, he does.
Doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a badass.
Yeah.
Love Serba.
Yeah. And it's just having that internal, external awareness. So it's like I call it the mental martial arts, like being able to get in there and not just roll around or just walk away sometimes too, instead of just always fighting. And it's like not walk away from it as a whole, but being like, no, when you're like, nah, we're not playing that game. We're going to go do this instead. Here's a cookie. Go sit down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that choice. Well, I want to share something with you because I think it's like something that you really need to hear is I think anyone who's super physically fit like you and people that you've, had on the podcast here, high performers, athletes, I really feel like it's way easier to be physically fit than mentally fit. And what I see very often is some really strong men that have not great awareness around mental fitness and mental wellness because they've used this punishment system and this reward system to create something great within themselves.
And it's the burden thing too. Like, I don't want to be a burden to other people.
Oh.
And it's been like that for a long time.
You can be a burden to me any day.
I've had so many friends who are like, what? You've been struggling? Why didn't you reach out? And I was like, you got your own things to worry about, And they're like, how bad it would be if you did something or whatever, and it's like.
Well, let's translate that into your childhood, right? Because that's where it comes from. Like, is that your story when you were little? Like,
this is the part where girls will usually are the ones that are like, ugh. Yeah. So I was called a demon child, and it wasn't intentional. Like I was an actual demon, and I was possessed and chasing people around with a knife or anything. But that was the joke. Like he's a demon child. Oh, he's just hyper and stuff like that. But they would relay that on to me. So that was a moniker for me. I played differently than other kids and stuff like that too, and I didn't have the same social cues that some of the neighbors did. There's a lot of kids that weren't allowed to play with me after a while because of the way I reacted, and I didn't know. That's the way a lot of our family members and the kids acted. So I was around them, so I would emulate what they did. So some of the other kids, and growing up, it was like that. So I just took that in as my ethos is oh, I'm a troubled kid. I'm a bad kid.
Those were the seeds that were planted in your mind.
Stop listening at school and And it wasn't that I knew that there was a way to learn or not. So from then on, I was just like, this is a contract I signed. I'm a bad kid.
Man.
And since I was like 4 or 5. And so like I'd lose friends, people judge me. Then I found out sometimes like kids were just jealous that I had more toys than them. And it wasn't that we had money. It was because my dad knew we'd go to the swap meet. So my mom would buy me a 25-cent whatever. And I'd save a little, some change or whatever and be able to do that. But later on, some of those friends would tell me like, oh yeah, we're mean to you because we're jealous because you had cooler toys than we did and this, that, and the other, or you were funnier or this. And I'm like, damn, this whole time I was getting like shunned for being a different thing, you know?
Wow.
And I'd get in trouble for what other kids did just because of those kids would be good kids and they knew of me as a bad kid. So like I would try to tell the kid no and I would get in trouble for it. And it would happen like through my teens. I'm like, man, even when I'm not doing stuff, I'm getting in trouble.
Yeah, like you just can't win.
So it got to the point where like, if some of my friends had kids or whatever, even in high school, like if they had different positions and like we're all doing something, if cops come up, I would say it was me just to take the rap for some of the kids. Cause I was like, I don't have a future. They do. You know, they have this or that. Like it happened a few times.
So you would abandon yourself.
Yeah. Just for the sake of being a good friend to other people. And I'm like, oh, well, they have more to look forward to than I do. So I would say, I did it. If somebody needs to take the rap, I did this or whatever. And then it would be weird too, because then I wouldn't have accountability for other things because I just didn't have the awareness or thought people would be mad at me or whatever. So I've dealt with that my whole life. It was an interesting version of people pleasing because if people disrespected me enough, apparently I'd stand up for myself physically. But yeah, my ex, she would always say that she was like, you've just been treated bad for so long that you just let people treat you bad and you don't even realize you're doing it. You'll be upset in a moment and then you'll forgive them because I was just so used to it.
Oh, I resonate with that so deep. I'm like, you're just describing me right now. I've been through that too.
Yeah, but I see that and I was like, oh man, like I was literally called a demon child by my family members, my mom and everybody. But they didn't mean it like you're an actual demon. It's just.
Yeah, I get it. I get the context.
That's what I heard. So I'm like, oh.
You have to live up to the part, right?
Yeah.
When your family system is telling you who you are, you have no choice.
So my whole life, I wouldn't do as bad of things as the worst people I knew, but I wasn't doing great things.
Yeah,
like
you were kind of like living in the middle ground. Yeah,
it happened in relationships and everything else. Like I'm not cheating, but I'm not doing everything I can to be a good this or whatever. So and I see it from other people, and I'm like, well, I'm not doing that. So I justify things, and I wouldn't take accountability because my morals and values weren't set.
Yeah. Your compass was off.
I mean, my dad told me not to steal, don't lie, things like that. But then see it all around me and there was no consequences for the most part for most people. I'm like,
Yeah. So what you're describing is the battle between the conscious and the subconscious mind. Like you have these seeds that are planted in your mind by your parents that are growing and forming. But then as you age and you hit about 9 years old, you actually move into the prefrontal lobe, which is where you have your own identity and you start to make your own decisions and you get to logically think through things. And that's when most kids start to question their parents. And that's when they start to push back because they're like, wait, this isn't really who I am, but you don't quite understand it because you're not evolved emotionally. You don't have the emotional intelligence. Nobody taught that until the last 10 years, what that even means. Most people don't even understand their own emotions, let alone other people's. So it sounds like you didn't have the space to actually even be who you were from the beginning. You know, you were given some really harsh, like, identity blocks that I can see just sitting with you and working with you. I can see those things and it's like not hard to see it. But I think what's interesting is,
one thing I seen the pictures and I pointed it out to Frankie because she's always thinks she's way bigger than she is. And for me, I always thought I was smaller than I am.
Oh, that's interesting.
You know, and so she was like, yeah, I'm like this, blah, blah. And then she sees herself in pictures and she's like, wait, I'm so small compared to everybody. And then for me, it was the opposite. I'm like, I didn't realize how big I am compared to some of those people. She's like, you're not a small person. Because I remember when we first started dating, I used to think we had the same size hands.
Yeah.
Like random little things.
Interesting, like deeper stuff.
I'll sit myself down. If you look at a lot of our pictures, I'll make myself smaller.
Shrinking yourself.
Fit in. Yeah. Or I'll put myself in the very back of pictures instead of like trying to be in the front.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, you can't be doing that. That goes against what you were told growing up.
Yep.
Yeah. Who are you to be so bright?
I've always watered myself down for other people for a long time because there was a point where like I got popular and things like that, and then like it's been like an envy that I didn't know was there. I just thought it was something wrong with me.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, damn, what am I doing? I thought I was doing this. And it happens at like jiu-jitsu, it happens here, it happens there, you know. So everybody gets this misunderstanding of who I am, I guess.
Well, you can't get understood by other people when you don't understand yourself.
Yeah.
right? They'll reflect what you're not seeing.
Mm-hmm.
Psychology says that you will abandon yourself first before you will abandon others for the sake of not being abandoned.
Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting because it's dichotomy. It's so contradicting as well. You got abandoned in your childhood, right? And then you lived a life of abandoning yourself, because every time you shrink yourself and every time you play small, it is for preservation. And what you're preserving is a relationship with the person. And what's interesting is there is no relating to the person because you've already abandoned yourself. So you can't relate, right? It is a literal mental loop that I lived in for most of my life, but I see a lot of people living in. So the way to heal that, what is your way of healing that? What have you done to stop abandoning yourself?
Well, a lot of it is just like not caring what people think and understand everybody else is dealing with their own problems. There is no perfection. So as long as if I'm leading a better life for myself and I can understand my core values and where I want to go, and if I lead things through intent and like an intentional life, which I don't know, I'm not perfect. I don't do it all the time. But it's like making sure that everything is in alignment there, then I can be proud of myself. And that's the end of the day, what everybody actually wants. They just want a peace of mind, and they want people to see them for who they are rather than knowing inside that they are who they are and that's all they need to be.
Right.
So it's just developing the pathway. Because right now I have the Grand Canyon theory. I could see the idea of what that is, but I don't think I ask myself enough questions daily on why I did this or why do you think like that? You know, because I can ask you plenty of questions and I can ask myself some, but I'm also smart enough to let my ego play tricks on me.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's good at doing that. Absolutely. So one thing that I thought of and wanted to tell you just to bring some awareness around it is what I've learned with inner child healing and trauma, and a lot of people, is the only way that we heal is when we give ourselves what we didn't get in our childhood. So because you had such a fear of abandonment and you didn't want to be a burden on everybody, you have healed that by reaching out to me. Like you reaching out to me and saying, hey, I really need to do a session. That is what you needed in your childhood. Because in that moment, you didn't abandon yourself and you were able to ask for help, which is so hard for you specifically. Because, I mean, look at you. Look at who you are, right?
Yeah, and it is that. And I realize too, I think sometimes I get so stuck in like what's happening right this second rather than like where it's progressing to.
Right.
And like right now, the stress levels, I'm like, these aren't going to be forever.
Yeah,
you'll get over
it's
it.
temporary.
Yeah. And if you can listen to this for 2 weeks with that high of stress first thing in the morning, it's going to be, it's not going to be easier. You're going to be stronger to be able to handle it later on.
Yes.
You know? Because I think that's when people say like jujitsu or whatever it is, like fitness or meditation, it doesn't get easier.
No.
You get better or stronger.
Well, what it really is like, we can talk about this because I see this in you, is it's not that we're getting stronger, we're becoming more resilient and able to bounce back quicker. So when you talk about resiliency in the nervous system, it's actually chemistry. And it's not like even just strength. It's actually through life experience and the way that you bounce back from it. So when you're doing hypnotherapy and programming, the reason why the first couple of days is like an ease, and then like 4 or 5 days into what we're doing starts to become more stressful, is because what I'm doing is I'm speaking to the majority of who you are, not the minority. When we're having these conversations, this is like contextual or like more content, more prefrontal activation. But when you're in theta, you're not in that part of your brain anymore. And that's when you really dialed into your nervous system. That's when you're super present with what's going on. And so when you're doing hypnotherapy this way, you're actually reprogramming the chemistry in your nervous system. And the only way that happens is if we activate where you're resistant, which means we have to actually discover the emotional traumas that are trapped in your nervous system, which causes you to not regulate naturally, because we're always self-regulating. That never shuts off. Our subconscious never shuts off. It's always going. It's always recording. Same with our nervous system. It's always going. It's always healing itself. There's so much going on there. So it's becoming more resistant because we're actually activating parts of yourself that you didn't know were there. And the only way that you can really regulate yourself is when you remove those from the system. I think of the nervous system like, I know if we talked about this on the last podcast of how I see the nervous system, but I see it as a channel for energy to move through. And I see it as electricity. So we're electromagnetic beings, and our heart literally puts off a field around us. And when we go through childhood experiences, like a seed of you being a demon child, you actually have an emotional reaction, a chemical one, and it lodges in the nervous system because of the programming. So the programming is constantly reaffirming in your system, demon child, demon child, demon child. That actually settles in your body somewhere and gets communicated. Then when you get older, you get triggered. Something happens and it triggers. Well, if it's not inside of you, why would you get triggered in the first place? So when you're dealing with trauma and you have these seeds that have been planted in your mind, your nervous system's job is to tell you about them.
Mm-hmm.
It's to help you discover what the block is so that you can heal it because it wants it gone. It wants homeostasis always. It wants you to be grounded, and you can't ground if you're not on the earth, for one. Like the electricity doesn't move through if you're not grounded. So we can talk about that another day. That's a whole podcast in itself. But when we're activating these traumas, this track, it's going to pull up this stuff for you, whether you're conscious of it or not. And it's going to start being communicated in your body. Your body will talk to you. The body never lies. Like there's books on metaphysical anatomy and the emotion code and all of that stuff that I'm trained in as well. And that's some of the stuff that we're going to go into. But essentially, all of those stories and the emotional charges that you had in your childhood, my track is going to activate those because they've been inside of you buried, right? Like they're existing. And if they weren't existing, you wouldn't feel like a burden and not reach out to people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what the resistance is. The resistance really is those things that are being triggered inside of you that you really need to process. You can't process when you're a child, by the way. You don't have the emotional capacity to understand and the brain development to process those things that happened to you in your childhood. So you get older and your brain develops and then you can process. So feelings that you didn't deal with in your childhood that you buried. And I don't care what you say. Like I'll argue this point with everybody. Oh, I don't have trauma. I had a beautiful life. Like, cool story, bro. So did everybody else. But here's the thing. When you were 7 and your mom dismissed you and ignored you because she was overwhelmed, you felt something inside that you didn't know. And you buried it and you didn't have the space to communicate it. And that little boy is causing these arguments with your wife that you're talking to me about. And that's why you're acting out in your marriage. And that's why you're cheating. And that's why you're doing all these things because your mom dismissed you. And now you have a wife that's dismissive. Do you think that's a coincidence?
Right.
No, it's creating that.
Or teachers and everything else under the sun when you're a kid, right? It's
Right.
Like it could be a translation of everything.
Yeah. So you have things inside of you that are going to be called and you may not be aware of them, but they're going to start talking to you. And now that you're developed and you can actually process these emotions, you cannot heal what you do not feel because it's just, you'll build coping mechanisms, you'll build escape codes, you'll build stories around it. Like, oh, I don't have anything to work on. I'm completely healed. I'm solid. Like all of those things are just to protect you from feeling what you weren't able to feel when you were little.
Yeah, mine's opposite. I feel like it's more so I know it's there, and it's I mean, there are probably some subconscious that I move on to just go to the gym. So,
Right.
but yeah, I think mine too is like it's like where do I start?
And which one?
That makes you feel like an imposter when it comes to coaching. Is like you can coach everybody but yourself in this realm right now. So,
Right.
but that's just, once again, it's just an excuse. You got to reach out for help. Find a mentor or whatever that is. Like, there's always, if there's a will, there's a way to be able to. But yeah, it's the internal reps is what I'm trying to focus on more on. It's like digging into the understanding of like I'm internally eating garbage.
Yeah, absolutely.
And fixing that.
Yeah, and your external world will show it to you.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah, and it's a battle too, not to project, if you're not feeling well.
Right.
So it's always a battle with that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to hold space for your clients and stuff when you're like, man, if you only knew what I was going through right now. Totally resonate with that. I think we talked about this. I told you how hard it was for me as a coach and a healer and professional, for one, to be holding on to fat. Like that's been a huge thing for me. I was super fit, very lean, very healthy, and have gone through such deep healing the last 5 years. And it does make you feel like, well, who am I to tell Justin what he needs to work on when he's like light years ahead of me when it comes to this? That is, I don't think that's imposter syndrome. I think it's the critical side of us inside of ourselves where we beat ourselves up because as children we were beaten down. And so we internalize that program and we run that program with ourselves. Like we're not good enough. Why? Because our parents showed us that. So we just keep that dialogue and then we create an opportunity to talk about it with each other. Right. And so it's hard to go through as a coach to be able to like take off that, to not wear the mask for one, to be like, oh, I have it all figured out. That's a mask. but also to be able to not put it on and be real with people and be vulnerable, right? As a professional in your arena. I honestly think, Justin, that like, I love getting to know you. I love working with you. I think you're an incredible person. Like, I see your heart. I see your soul. You've helped so many people I don't even know, but I know that you have. I think it's really beautiful for you and your experience to do what you're doing. Be this masculine man that you are, and also at the same time be authentic and vulnerable and show people that like, just because I'm here doesn't mean I don't have battles. We're missing that in our reality, especially in entrepreneurship.
Yeah. And I mention it. Like if people are like, I promise I don't got everything figured out, and I'll let them know right then and there. Like they could be, you've seen it. And it's just, they're like, oh dang, I thought you had all this things figured. I'm like, no, no one does ever.
Yeah. Nobody, like we're all trying to figure this out.
I used to be shelled up. I used to be shelled up like that and tried to act like I didn't have issues, but that's a trauma response in itself. Perfectionism.
Yep, absolutely. That is some perfectionism for sure. I've dealt with that myself, and the people pleasing and trying to make everybody happy and put on the mask. And I don't think it's helpful for us, but mostly for the people around us.
No, and for us too, like those type of people. You got all these networking events and these high level arenas, and a lot of those people just they don't realize they kind of suck.
Yeah.
They're not judging them. That's whatever, if that's what they wanted, but they don't attract people. They attract more snakes, and there's a lot of issues there. They don't attract people like Travis and you into the realm of those when you're just always trying to get something. And that's something in sales and stuff like that with those, that's always like, everybody's always trying to get something from somebody else. And I'm not a big fan of that. Like I tried to like be a part of it a little bit and like try to feel it out. And I'm like, gotta figure out a different way to do this, because this is not my realm, and it just feels icky in that realm. Like a lot of people have issues with it. Now I feel like with help from people like yourself and others, and like Louis was just on his podcast here today, and you could tell like he talks about having a big ego, which I've been there plenty of times, and then coming back around to like realizing there's so much more, and being able to be present and work through your stuff rather than just, like you said, stacking on armor or layers on top of it. So, it's okay to be, what is it? Kaizen, like those bowls where they break and they
use the gold to put them back together
with gold, then you're way more valuable with your fractures.
Oh, 100%. I love that analogy for sure. It is, I totally agree with you. I feel like we can go in a rabbit hole on this subject of the inauthenticity that is sweeping Utah and like the entrepreneur world and the coaches and the sticky, slimy, like, I know way too much information.
And then you have good things like Temple and some of these other ones.
Yes.
And you get cold feet, because I'm like, I've been here before plenty of times.
Yeah, it's hard. Yeah. It's hard to like step into stuff and really trust that people are being authentic. And I think this is why I love the work that I do, is I really bring people back into their intuition and out of their heads and into their hearts, so they can feel what's real. Because here's the truth, like energy never lies. And I've been in big rooms with big people, and I've had the people that create those spaces come to me themselves and say, Felicia, I've never met anyone as real as you. You are authentic. You are genuine. You don't put on a mask. Your energy is amazing. And they're just like, I really love that about you. Those are my people. When I hear that kind of stuff, that's how I can move through those rooms, and I know who to network with and I know who to be with. I'm super dialed in. I'm very gifted and intuitive. I know stuff about people that they don't know about themselves. And then we do a session and I'm like, oh yeah, I knew that. I knew that when we first met. I felt it. So because I'm so in tune and I've worked on my intuition and I trust myself and I lean in, I see it from a mile away, and I won't partake in it.
And that's why I want to work with people like you, because I'm naturally intuitive in that aspect too. And it maybe not the same exact, but like my own version of that kind of stuff too, is I'll pick out things instantly. 6 months down the road, or 6 weeks, a couple weeks, I'll be like, hey, do you remember when you did this? Well, I've seen this, this, and this. And they're like, why didn't you tell me? I was like, you weren't ready for that section.
Yeah. You can feel
it.
To
work on this.
You can feel when someone's ready.
Yeah, psychology and all this stuff, like learning that, but it's hard. You can't do it. You can do it on yourself if you know the skills, but that's why I want to learn all this to open up my possibilities for everything else, because I had enough suffering in my life. I don't need to suffer more. If it happens, the suffering happens. Like I said, my life has been a beautiful tragedy. It's very blessed, but there's been a lot of issues there too, which I wouldn't want most people to handle or have to deal with the things I went through. But there's also plenty more that's way worse than anything I've experienced out there. But
right.
we all have our level 10. But for now, I'm like, just did this for so long. Let's try to navigate the brain and move into something greater. Because that was one of the things I was prescribed ketamine. It was like a prescription per month. It was mailed to me. And so I would do like, when I first started, just be a spray here or there. And then I'm like, oh, this is what normal people feel like mentally. Like they don't have I didn't realize how much of a nagging internal dialogue I had. I was just so used to it. And then once I started doing that, and it was recreational at first, or I should say it was therapeutic and recreational. But then as soon as, I had a couple friends die, a relationship goes sour, a couple businesses fall apart, people stealing a ridiculous amount of money from me, for me at least. All of that happened within a few months. And that's where the couple sprays started turning into grams and so on and so forth, started hanging out with people. And then I started attracting more people that didn't have discipline and didn't have the level of discipline that I do. And then it's so wild to see how fast your friend group can change in a year. Not saying my other friends weren't there, but people dissolved. And then, so it's just been interesting to navigate those waters, because if you don't do the internal work, you can have a slip up like that. You don't have the skills.
Yeah.
I had skills up until close to that point that got me through it, but surviving and thriving are two very different things.
100%. Like most of us have lived in survival our whole lives. That's what we were trained.
Yeah.
So
our new sponsor, Nicer, had a question, and I ask this question all the time. Why do you have to separate luxury from health when it comes to luxury sprays? We have multiple products. We have a skincare product. We have a salt spray, and then we have hair wax and hair balm. And what they did was put high quality ingredients together that have no problems with your body or skin. And what these products that are bonded together are going to do is help formulate a better smell. I will say these are some of my favorite organic sprays. They last a long time, and the fragrance kind of changes throughout the day. You'll get a little bit more or less of one or two of the fragrances. Check out Nicer. It's feelnicer.com. Promo code Justin10. Try out the hydration spray. It's my favorite.
Oh, something came up when you were talking about that. How crazy is it that your vibe really attracts your tribe? Like you went through that shift internally and then your whole external reality changed with it. Right? Like how did you get out of that? I'm super curious.
Yeah, I don't know if everybody can do this. I just had to decide to stop.
Yeah.
And I could see where it was affecting other people around me. I had a brother die from an overdose, and I didn't want to wreak havoc on my family or anything like that. So I was just like, dude, this isn't you. I had a couple friends tell me too, like, I don't know what version of this is you. Like, we love you, but this version of you sucks. Like, you don't talk.
We don't like this,
You're
Justin.
like this weird, like, you get stuck in these weird, like, mind loops or whatever, and you just, like, you're not communicating well. It lasts like 5 minutes. It's okay. I get it. But, like, it's just I just had to see it firsthand and like see the destruction and finally pull myself out of it. Cause like for a while it was just like self-destructive. Like, and then you turn into this other version of yourself that is not you. And it just like, your brain chemistry changes. And like, and then I became more of like a victim in my own life. And like, everything was happening to me. And I'm like, okay.
I knew that one. I'm like, that's the one that probably got you the most because you're not like that.
No, I'm like,
and I've been in the same shoes where I'm like,
no.
Yep. As soon as it goes too far into like I'm becoming a victim, I'm like, wait, hold on. Let me zoom out of myself and get a higher perspective. Like, you are not a victim here. Like that's always been the shifting moment for me too.
You choose to be a victim or you don't. Yeah. At least in my life, there are people maybe have stage 4 cancer, things like that, did everything right in life, and maybe, but even then they might not feel like a victim. But I understand there are some circumstances for people, but for me, I'm like, no, these are all by choices.
Yes.
Same with losing, like the love of my life and all these things. It's like, it's just a story that my ego created. And then you just keep leaning into it.
Yeah.
So being able to actually identify with all that stuff is like, hey, you're still alive and you're still healthy for the most part. Like your mental and your spiritual side have tarnished a little bit. And spiritual side got better. Started going back to church and doing all these things. So I'm like, man. And I don't know, because you were talking about like identify things as things, but they're more of an excuse. And I'm like, man, did I just have to take the rough path to end up back in church? And like, I don't know, but I helped out. Here's the thing.
I was
like, well, I was on ketamine and I saved a house from burning down. I drove back to my house. It was
Dang.
like 2 Pioneer days ago.
Wow.
And I'm like,
You feel like some like divine intervention kind of thing
yeah,
going on?
I was just going to stay home that night. And if I would have stayed home, I think that their trash can lit on fire from a firework. It was 11:30 at night. I wasn't even going to go out. I was beating myself up for going out.
Chills.
It didn't do ketamine. And I did ketamine because I hung out with my friends again. And then I come home and I'm like, man, because one of my buddies, he used to live next door. He's like a world famous barbecuer, millions of followers, blah, blah. It was in South Jordan off of 114th. And I'm like, he's barbecuing pretty late. And I'm like, that's not a barbecue. I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like blue flames. The plastic turned into napalm. Dang. And the fire was touching the plastic molding on the house. And I just put my car in park and I ran over there and I'm like, oh shit. And I was like, the doorbell's way over there. I looked, the side yard's open. I was like, oh shit, there's a hose right there. So I just ran over there. This is going on midnight. And so what happened was, but anyways, I'm putting it out or getting the fire out. It's not going out. It's getting bigger because it's a plastic fire. The whole bin, the whole recycling, full size recycling bin burned to the ground and everything in it. So it was like napalm. It was literally green and blue flames, like touching. You could see scorch marks on the plastic. If I would have not been there, I think it would have caught the whole house on fire. And they were in the basement and downstairs and like off in a distance, had no clue.
Yeah.
And so what happened was I ended up getting the fire down enough with the water. And then I was looking around for dirt or something to reduce the oxygen would have been my next step. Yep. And so I'm spraying it with water and I'm looking around and I'm like, okay, well, I could run over there and grab a handful of dirt if I have to. But luckily it started to die down. And the oxygen was reducing and the whole, like the fire was like calming down. It got to about waist high. And once it got a little lower than that, I ran and hit the doorbell and came back. And then they answered, and it was this Middle Eastern family that came out. They're like, what happened? I was like, your house was almost on fire. And it burnt the ground, like the plastic was stuck on the ground. Dang. And so what happened was their dad, like come over from, I think it was India. They let off some fireworks and they put it in the recycling afterwards. But there was no smoke, no nothing. So they thought it was dead. And somehow it started again, sparked back up.
Well, yeah, because it was in an enclosed area.
Yep. Yeah, so they said there was no smoke. It wasn't even hot. He's like, I picked it up with my hands and it wasn't hot. And I'm like, oh, but yeah.
Well, that's why they tell you to put water on the fireworks when you're done.
Yeah, but there was little situations that happened like that. Like I wouldn't have met you. I wouldn't have gone to some of these networking events. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that I helped in the midst of it all. So like for me, I just like remind myself that everything happens the way it's supposed to, regardless if it was like the ideal thing. Now you got to work harder to make the money back. Now you got to do this, but that's all just part of like the journey.
Right. And if you take one thing out of it, everything changes, right? Mm-hmm. I remember my son coming to me like 2 years ago, my 20-year-old son. He was like, Mom, do you realize that if I made one different decision that I might not even be in the same life that I'm in? He's like, do you ever think about that? I was like, dude, I really know what you're talking about. Like I can see the different paths of my life if I were to choose into this or choose into that. It's almost like looking at different timelines that you can go on. And I totally believe in that stuff. And so I'm like, you really are always one decision away from a completely different life.
And to pull myself out of those situations too, when you do the what ifs, is like, it's like, oh, what if I would have invested into Bitcoin and hold on to it? And I was like, what if you made a left turn instead of right and you got into a car accident? Or what if a plane crashed? And it's like, the what ifs go both sides.
They do. So, and like, let's just not.
Yeah. You make all that money and then you're not alive because you got a private jet. And then that private jet, something happened. And then, next thing you know, you're dead anyway. So like, what if?
Yeah.
And
What
like,
if?
Well, yeah, you're right.
Yeah. It's like, we could do this all day.
Yeah.
Like we can go in circles if we want. We
it's
can,
just
what
not
if
worth.
the moon fell and like we all died tomorrow? Nobody knows.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I noticed too with like ketamine, alcohol, any of that. It just lowers your vibrational frequency.
It does.
And now that I don't, that's when I became friends with, my ex again. She's married, she's moving to Iowa. It's fun stuff for her. And, but she wasn't there when I was doing it. And it was because of what I was emitting off. And then like other people just fell off, like don't talk to them anymore. And it just happened naturally. Yep. And then other people, these kind of situations, the things that are necessary for the greatest success or the next step are all aligning. And then other things are falling off slowly.
Right.
And it's just interesting to see the different dynamics as I bring myself back to base level, a better version of base level. Cause now I'll have the internal reps as well. And, but yeah, it's been interesting. And honestly, what I pray, not every morning now, but what I was praying for is like, I just want all the fake people out of my life. Like if my circle's gotten smaller, even some of my really old friends I don't talk to very much anymore. I love a lot of them. And like we see each other a couple times a year or whatever. But like, and I used to not be okay with that, but I'm okay with that now. I'm like, Some people you got to leave in the past. Some people will always be your brothers or sisters or whoever. You'll always send memes to each other, talk, hang out, whatever that is. But I also finally okay with understanding that I'm a different person now, and I don't need to be this or that, and I don't need to hold space for everybody anymore, because I had survivor's guilt. Like this is what my therapist said, is like, so I felt bad that everybody else wasn't experiencing my life or the success I had or this or that, and then for me, I'm done with that too. Like, if y'all can't carry your own anchor, I'm not carrying it for you unless you're paying me.
Yeah, I resonate with that. The things that I've been through in life, I don't meet a lot of people that can even relate, let alone hold space for what I'm sharing, because it's some really like scary, dark stuff. So I find that a lot, where I'm just like, I've had people come to me a couple of years ago, and this one girl was like, Felicia, how do you do it? Like, how are you so strong? I don't understand how you're so strong. Like, she's like, I can't even make it through this small thing, but look at what you have overcome. And it's like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I don't really have an answer to that, other than like my soul and my mission here on the planet and my contract, and maybe who I was before I came here, and maybe the warrior guides that surround me and things that I need to do here. Like, I have my own perception of what that is and how I've gotten here. I just know that I'm unwilling to give up ever. Like, I'm never willing to throw in the towel. Doesn't matter how deep, how dark, or what it is. I just have this unwillingness. Like, it's in my soul. It's not my body. It's not my humanness. It's like, I know I'm a warrior and I know what I'm capable of. And I've been connected to God my whole life. And I find it interesting that you've had that same experience of like, I don't want these people in my life. And it's like, be careful what you ask for, because then your whole life was ripped apart.
Or, you know, for an instance, I wanted to get rid of a whole bunch of stuff in like 2021. My whole car got stolen when all my stuff, my favorite stuff was in it. We
need to like dial in that intention. And I was like,
your words. God, I'll be more specific, because I didn't mean my good stuff. Like, but, and then I was the one that found my car. They didn't know where it was. I was like, okay, I was on less than a quarter tank of gas. So my guess, they wouldn't go to a gas station. There's cameras. So it has to be within the realm. I walked straight to where it was, and I called the police department and said, hey, I found my car. And they're like, what? And then he asked, he was like, how did you find it? And I was like, well, it was the only time I had less than a quarter tank of gas. Usually I'll fill up my tank. I don't like to have a quarter tank or less.
Right.
And I was like, well, this is my guess. If it was me, this is what I would have done.
Right.
And I was like, it had to be around the corner. They stripped it, and it had to be within the realm. This is a darker neighborhood, less lights, less everything, you know, and it was right there. I could see it. It was
Talk
weird.
about intuition.
Yeah, Rachel talks about that too. She was like, you manifest things so crazy, so you got to be careful what you think.
Yes, and that is like, oh, I have felt that so many times. I tell my clients too, they're like, oh yeah, I just wish I would have this. And I'm like, ooh, you better dial in those words, because when you're speaking, you're spelling, you're casting spells. Your words carry a vibration frequency. Your whole vagus nerve creates the tone. Like
something I noticed I started doing again has to do with networking, probably podcasting and everything else too. But I highlight myself too much in the date. Like, it happened with this. So I'm dating somebody right now, and it's been a few weeks. We're just trying things out, see how things are going, you know. And it's so far so good. It's been great. But that's something she pointed out. She was like, man, you kind of talk about yourself a lot, like recently. And it was like trying to impress or just trying to, but it's the I. And I'm like, oh damn, I'm sorry. So I've been backing off of that. But I think part of that was the trauma of coming out of substances and the victim mindset that I started developing. It's like trying to rebuild something that I already have.
And trying to prove yourself. Yeah.
I thought that was interesting. I was like, damn, because I used to do it. And then I developed a decent amount of self-worth, and then like it faded off.
Right.
Like it's a conditional love, I guess. Right.
Well, what if you don't have any certifications? Like, what if we strip away this amazing Justin and you're like just some dude that, trains? Like, I think we do wrap a lot of our identity around the external validation and rewards that we're going to get. But I think it's really important that you like really see that within yourself.
I used to not even mention the certifications. And the reason I started is because I didn't have to explain it as deeply. So I have X amount. And I even say now too, I'm like, and most of them are expired, so they don't mean anything.
Right.
But it was just so somebody could see the name tag, and I don't have to explain it into fine detail.
Yeah.
But yeah, even then, it's the same thing. I was like, I don't need to tell everybody everything. Yeah. Like I need to get out of that networking and be able to flip that switch a little bit more, because I notice I'll do it here or there, like in jujitsu or somewhere else. It's not, people don't want to hear it. That they could be intimidated already, and the last thing they need to hear is like your success stories.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let's look at this in our reality, because this can like just translate into it. This is everywhere. This is in racing, right? If you're not first place, you're last. And you get a trophy and you get celebrated and you get like so much love for that. And it's such a huge accomplishment. And it's like when you strip away that, you know, being a black belt versus a brown belt or a blue belt or even a white belt, like there's so much given and rewarded for being first place, being the best, having these certifications, having successful. There's not a lot of reward for the darkness that you've sat in and the things that you've had to face and the challenges and the fact that you had to text somebody and reach out and say that you needed help. Like, are you getting rewarded for that?
You know, you want to know one of the hard things too is people asked, and when I told them, they faded.
Exactly.
Because they couldn't handle it.
So crazy to me.
They couldn't handle it. And then when I see them now that I'm doing good again, they're like, oh, hey, how you
let's
doing?
Hang out, just like,
I'm like,
fuck
no,
you, bro.
No,
like, get out of my
thanks.
space.
Like, you're a fair weather friend. Like, I get it. And some people also, they don't know how to handle it. And they say, they were honest. They're like,
don't know what to do with this information.
I don't know what to do. I could try to help. Like, I don't know where.
I mean, at least like show some love and like, hey, we're both human and maybe not judge me and hang me on the cross. And,
well, there was a whole group of individuals that like claim to be these like high-spirited individuals. And they do. I won't mention what they do specifically because it'll give it away instantly.
Yeah.
And they're the type, unfortunately, that like to project all the good things that they do out there to everybody so they can see them, you know, like, which is cool.
About.
Like they're still doing some good stuff, but like those people, once they realized I was struggling, like I didn't hear from any of them.
Yeah.
And then they're similar talk about like, get in the discomfort, do this, do that. You know, I can't even talk about some of the stuff they do because it'll point them out directly.
Yeah.
But they talk about the discomfort and like leaning into the things that, are hard, but then they ghost people all the time. They don't text people back. And then they try to be your best friend when you see them. And I'm like, stop.
Those fake friends, you have to like,
and it's just them by nature. And it's funny too, because more people that I've met recently that don't know them now go to their functions and they're just attracting each other.
Yeah.
And it's like this.
Dude, energy never lies. I'm telling you.
Yeah. And then because I was like, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm being a victim here, and maybe it's some abandonment stuff. But over time, like people that used to go to these events now fade out.
People will show you who they are, right? Like you can see that. It only takes about what I've dated guys, and I wait until like after the first month, and I'm like, okay, now let's see who you really are. And I always get shown. And my daughter was in a really bad car accident last year, had a TBI, and just went through probably the worst time of her entire life. And she's always been surrounded by hundreds of girls. Like she's the light in every room. Everybody looks up to her. When she went through that accident, there were only 2 of her friends that were there for her. Only 2 of them. And I was like, listen.
Because people are there for the energy.
Yes. And you will always find out. You will always find out who's really there for you when you're going through something dark. And I've experienced that just recently moving.
And I even picked it up on. I was like, and that's the difference. Is like when I walk into a room, and it's true. It's like when I walk into a room, am I impressed by the guy that's just talking about himself? No. I'm impressed by the individuals that are listening.
Yes.
And that impresses me more. And like especially with certain individuals, they could be quiet and listen. Like I can go into a room and take over the room if I need to energetically. It happens. Even without words. But I realized that trying to earn my own respect back to tell other people who I am. And I'm like, no, stop. There's no reason for that.
Silent movers. Like I've become that way in my own life, like in my business and my friendships and my relationships, like moving in silence and letting your actions show up for you versus what you're saying and allowing people's opinions to kind of spread in a room. I've experienced that 100% this last year. And you actually have a lot to do with it. Me networking with you and connecting with you and you pulling me into these rooms. I have people all the time that come to me and are like, I really love your energy. I love your vibe. I love your space. And I'm just there, present, listening. I'm not there wanting to talk, wanting to make an impact, wanting people to see me. I don't have any of that desire anymore.
And not identify with like, oh, this is just me. Sometimes, because if some people are like, oh, you just like, I've had people that are like, hey, like this group of people, it's not even a group. I think it was him projecting. Right. It's a very specific person, I guess.
Yeah.
But I've heard this over the years too. It's like some people don't want your unsolicited advice. And I was like, well, then some people don't need to hang out with me because I like doing some of that, but I can back off a little bit too.
Right.
Like
you
I don't
can
need
hear
to coach
it,
everybody.
But you're not going to like minimize yourself to shrink yourself to make people comfortable. You don't control. Like this is psychology. We do not control how other people feel. We have nothing to do with someone's internal dialogue and how they feel.
Because it was interesting because it followed up as like, we just want to understand you. We don't need this or that. And I'm like, that's part of me. I'm a coach.
Yeah.
You know, so
like I'm gonna I'm going to be here to like see your, I tell people this all the time because I'm not easy to sit with. I know myself. Like I know I see through people's souls. I see through their bullshit, their stories, their lies, and I hold space for it and they can take off their armor and they give me all of that information and I don't use it against them. So there's a lot of vulnerability. But at the same time, I've had to tell people like, hey, there is a price when it comes to being in my circle. And the price is you don't get to wear your mask. Like you take that off at the door. I want all of you. I want every aspect of you to be welcome with me. At the same time, I have respect for myself. I have values for myself. A lot of people aren't used to a woman that has standards. I've noticed that with a lot of men. Like, oh, I'm not going to allow you to disrespect me and I'm going to say something. I'm going to use my voice. That's not normal here in Utah. Women don't speak up for themselves here.
And it's not normal for males to be receptive.
Yes.
And that's what's happened with the girl that, like she was like, hey, and then I catch myself, oh, I'm sorry, I did it again. I talked over you.
Yeah. Oh, and, that is hell yeah, Justin, I see you.
And it's like, hey, like, let's have more conversations about this. Oh, would you like to do this? And I need to find somewhere in between, like, to make sure. So for me, I don't mind learning in that realm. And if we go down the road and it doesn't make sense, or if it's more of like other individuals, like a trauma response rather than like they actually need this thing.
Yeah.
And it's somewhere in between, and that for me, I've spent so many years just China or a bull in China shop type of deal. And I just don't want to do that. I'd much rather learn to be a better communicator and learn other people's styles of learning and dating different types of people now instead of like knowing your type. Apparently for me, they have to have some sort of fitness level and they have to, I couldn't date somebody that continuously eats junk.
Yeah.
Like I don't go out to eat a ton. I'd much rather eat at home.
Yep.
We can go on fun dates or whatever, but I'm not someone that usually stays out past 9 p.m. because then they're going to end up looking like this guy today. I feel like because I stayed out till 11 last night.
Yeah. So you have like your internal standards and values that you're learning.
Creating what I actually want. Right. And maybe what I need is different. Yeah. And that's what I'm looking for. Yes. It's like, no, what do I actually need?
Yes.
Because I could have very easily, backed off of this and just walked away from the situation. I was like, well, we're both learning something here. So like, let's figure that out. Because I want to be respectful for other people as well and listen just as much as I talk. And I don't need to coach everybody. That's true. Like I'm not going to give my unsolicited advice out there. For the sake of just doing that, unless they give me their permission from now on,
And they ask you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm experiencing a lot of that in my current relationship where I have, some major like triggers and wounding around addiction in my life. Like it has been, I literally told my friend the other day, I was like, I feel like it follows me. It's like everywhere I go, I'm meeting an addict or someone struggling with addiction, or I'm working with somebody on this. And it's a massive trigger for me. So I've really gotten clear within myself. Like I cannot be in relationship with someone that struggles with addiction. Mm-hmm. It's not that I'm not willing to like be there for the person. It's that I've had it my whole life and I'm ready for the next chapter. The next chapter for me is like self-control, discipline, really loving your vessel and treating it with care and being kind to it and integrating and not just talking about that, but actually integrating it within myself. And my person needs to mirror that. That's not something I'm willing to shift on. At the same time, I obviously needed those triggers. I didn't know that stuff was still inside of my system. A lot of the stuff that we've talked about has brought up that stuff. Like that first podcast, I had so much that I didn't really digest that I was digesting in that podcast, and you called it out, and I was just like, oh, addiction. It's like something that I've had heavy in my experience. So I agree with what you're saying. Like there are things in people that we get to hold a standard to, and also there's so much to learn when you're in relationship with someone.
And to learn with business and different things along the way. Because like just because you have this idea of what it is doesn't mean it needs to be that exact thing. Because if it hasn't worked continuously, then try something else.
Yeah.
And what that comes with business partnerships, like with me and Travis, or business interactions, or like accepting like you as a coach to me as well, like it, and being more vulnerable to just like, hey, do these 2 weeks. Doesn't matter what's up here. You can coach a lot of things, but it didn't work out for you the last few years, did it, bud?
Yeah.
Exactly. And you want to get rid of that internal dialogue. The only way to get rid of cavities is to work on them.
Yes,
you have
consistently.
To use whatever it is, oil pulling or getting your tooth drilled or whatever that is. Like I'm not, no lobotomy for me, but taking the steps necessary from other successful individuals and I lost being the student for a while. Like it was hard, even with jujitsu and other things. I noticed it. I got so deep into like this coach archetype that it was hard for me to learn. I didn't realize it. Like even relationships, different things like that. So apparently this new rock bottom I hit still pretty high up there. It's nowhere near compared to some of my past. But it was like one of the hardest ones. And I still had, cause I had money. I had it was a toxic relationship, but I had somebody that checked a lot of boxes and I just tossed it away because I wasn't feeling good. I kept getting more depressed and then I know she was depressed. And so it just spiraled. And I was like trying to be this provider that I couldn't handle being. And I just was playing these characters in my head.
Yeah.
You know,
how'd you break out of that?
Well, I'm still breaking out of it. But I took the hardest path possible by diving into addiction.
Literally, Justin.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a lot of your identity is like taking the hard path. Could you at some point become comfortable and feel good about having a super peaceful, easier path? Like, how does that make you feel thinking about a very easy life where there's not a lot of like having to work hard for something?
I think there is a better set of navigation skills I could utilize that would make the path that's hard easier. But I embrace trials and tribulations and I don't want to, it's not that I need to get soft, right?
Right.
Stop looking over my shoulder.
Yeah, and I didn't mean it like that.
Yeah, no, but there is a better approach and that's what I'm looking for. I don't want to cut corners. I just want to have the endurance to handle the race.
Right.
You know, and it's like, I don't even need to necessarily be stronger. I want to be just more balanced so I can handle more.
Yes.
And I don't lose my temper. Or I don't feel like somebody's attacking me because they're giving me their perception of something. And it has nothing to do with me necessarily in some of the aspects. I just want the emotional and spiritual awareness to be able to see things from a third party perspective without feeling attacked by the world. And it's been getting better, but like a couple of years ago, I don't know if I could just handle doing podcasts like this or like
being super vulnerable all the time.
Cause now I don't even think about like the first one I did with Josh Sanchez a long time ago. I was like, man, I don't know how people are going to like take this, but now I'm just like, take it or don't.
Yeah.
Like,
no, I love that.
Food's on the table. If it gets cold, I'll eat it.
Yeah.
You know?
I love your evolution. It is like, I think it's so inspiring to see that in men in general. Like, I just love seeing men being able to shift their perception of things and what actually is strength versus what is actually weakness.
Well, and I'd much rather, Josh Berkman was somebody that told me this a long time ago. He was like, Justin, you're a martial artist. You're not a fighter anymore.
Yeah.
It's not that thing. Like you've moved on.
Yep.
It's like, so just take that. Because there'd be a lot of envy, like for not like that I couldn't like look at people, but when I'd watch UFC or all these things, it's like, you could have bbeen that. You could have been that. You could have been that. Because I realized that I could have been a professional athlete, I think. Yeah. Like my numbers.
I see you as an athlete already. Yeah. So like,
but I mean like my running times, like everything now that I look at it from like a coach's perspective, and I was like, oh, there was a chance. But there's those what ifs. Cause I'm like, what if you would have never got to that level? You'd have broke your leg or something. And
got knocked out and had this crazy concussion that
even more so than I already have. The 15 I have
you've
now,
already
16
had
as of
like
yesterday.
You're not allowed to have anymore.
Yeah, I'm
cut off.
I'm trying.
Like you're cut off.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about how hard it is to, for a lot of people to actually go from living a life of suffering and trauma to living a life of peace and ease and alignment. Because I see that everywhere. I see so many people that are like, my mentor and coach taught me very early on when I first started working with him. He was like, everything that you hear from entrepreneurs, like all of the speakers, all of the trainers, everything they're saying is a perception of a belief and it's not true. There's very few facts on this planet. And it is not true that you have to work until your eyeballs bleed to make money. So he shifted all my money patterns. He was like, actually, I make money in my sleep. Money comes to me. It shows up randomly. He tells me all these new beliefs. And I'm like, so many people believe you have to like literally just sacrifice and work hard and grind and hustle to make money. And it's just not true.
And that's what I talk with Mike and Louis about too. It's like the grind culture, you run out of material. Like you keep grinding an object, what happens? Something dissolves and it's usually the material.
Yep.
So if you can create this flow culture, like Surba said, said, you don't always stay in flow, but you can go in and out of it.
Yeah. It's real. I've experienced it. I've had moments of doing massive launches, sitting on my couch in my pajamas, being super happy and having no stress and making so much money versus being stressed and like overly concerned about and overthinking about and making nothing.
And then like my angle, what's my angle? And I like when people ask me that, I'm like, I just want to be able to impact a lot of people.
Yes.
But when I look, I don't look at the guy freaking, shotgunning 300 milligrams of caffeine and screaming in people's faces, with neck tattoos and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And, this is what I
Yelling at people does not change people. Can I just say this?
Yeah,
like that's prefrontal. That's content versus context.
It's reactive.
Yes.
And there's some people that are super successful, multimillionaires, but that's not what I want. That's not my idea of success. Yeah. My idea of success is being able to sit down and not let things faze me. But at the same time, if a situation happens where I have to get up and go handle some stuff and fold some clothes with people in them, I can do that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can be resilient to all of it.
And not getting into fights and not not have that tough guy bravado thing anymore, unless that switch needs to turn on.
Yeah.
But not having to check my bank account, but not spending my whole life always trying to get the next carrot and never appreciating the carrot you have in your hand.
Yeah. Filling voids.
It's been catastrophic for me. So it's just being able to be more present and have the peace of mind, but have money in the bank and not make everything make you crumble.
Yeah.
I think I'm beyond the point of everything making me crumble, but I'm still working on, because I don't think it's that like people like ourselves have weak minds. We just have weak points. And it's like navigating how to fix those points.
Yeah.
And so for me, the meathead or the internal dialogue of the individual that lashes me, it's like, oh, you're weak minded. And I'm like, well,
but you're really not.
No, and I was so physically. I grew up with such a physical demand on things. That like blue collar, I could work 15 hours, and so I can do that in jujitsu. Once my sweat starts going and everything gets going, then I'm good to move, and I can go for hours if necessary.
Yeah, sounds like me. I'm like
struggle.
But I've been a workhorse.
I embrace
before.
that,
Yeah.
but. The internal reps or like some of the discipline on like the online coaching or this or that, it's not there. And it's not that I can't, and it's not that I'm weak. It's just, I haven't done the reps and learning the skills.
There's just blocks that you weren't aware of. And once you become aware of them and you learn those tools, it's just a done deal for you. Like evolution is happening 100%.
Yeah. So like they're just opening up the flower, the onion or whatever we want to do there is that's where I'm at right now, is like just being able to, just be as vulnerable as possible. Go do look silly and do all these things and realize it doesn't change my self-worth.
Yeah.
So
it
just
makes you human. It makes you human, right? It can be hard to know that you're human and you're here to experience all aspects of emotion and life.
And don't compare yourself to other people, because that's always got me. Past versions of myself, other people, like how can I be that? And I'm like, well, you don't want to be that.
Yeah.
You're looking at the small version and qualities of what that person is. And in the end of the day, you don't want to take that road.
Yeah. Oh, I could I've told friends, I'm like, hey, please don't hold me to this version that you see inside of me, because I can change whenever I want to, and I will. And I do it all the time. So I have friends that like can't really resonate with that. And I'm like, listen, like you have this perception of me in your mind that you see. That's not who I am. You see yourself in me. And I'm always changing and growing, and I give myself the space to do that whenever I want to. I don't need permission. I don't need someone to validate that for me. I make that decision every single day. I'm a lifelong student. I'm here to grow. I'm here to learn. I'm here to experience life. I don't put myself in those boxes. And I don't allow my clients to do the same thing either.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, that's where I'm looking at, just like whatever you give me, I'm going to learn how to make sure I do that. And then also tell you about it, like when I need to. Or the second it happens. So
that's
the
healing for you, Justin. The healing for you is, it's not in us having this podcast conversation. It's not even in the tracks. It's that moment you text me and you tell me, because that's your vulnerability piece. Your vulnerability piece is reaching out to me and saying, hey, I have something that I need to face and look at. That simple act for yourself is you not abandoning yourself, you knowing that you're worthy, you putting yourself first, like you loving yourself. That's what that means to me. That's what it represents. So,
yeah. And I know it's a step-by-step program. And so I'm excited to go on to these next phases.
Yeah.
So in closing today though, are there a few things that you'd like to like any skills or anything, even if there are things that maybe you see in myself that I need to work on that you think could other individuals could utilize without giving too much of your program away. And then if you like, you could just talk to them directly.
Yeah. So 3 things that I see within you that I see with a lot of people, especially athletes. It's so interesting. I've had a lot of professional fighters coming to me recently wanting to hire me. And the most interesting aspect of it is because fighters are so strongly willed, they have the hardest time saying that they need help and being vulnerable. And I saw that in you. And so I was just waiting for you. I was just like, please, like, I really want to help Justin. Like, I have so much love for you and what you've done for me with networking. I just love to serve, but I see that they'll reach out to me. And as soon as they feel a little bit of that discomfort because I'm like piercing their soul and I can see their weak points, they allow their reptilian brain to pull them back and they don't lean into it. And it's so sad to see because I can see where they're going and like this beautiful trajectory of their life if they're willing to get uncomfortable. And it's crazy because they get the shit kicked out of them. That's uncomfortable, but that's their childhood. That's the fighter in them. That's like what's normal to them is get their ass kicked. What's harder is to like actually sit with the stuff that they've been avoiding for their whole life. So I think the biggest thing I want to speak on with you is like, I saw that within you, and it can be a weak point to reach out to a woman and say that you need help and to call that in. So I think that's probably the biggest thing. The other 2 things, I see so many blocks with money. It's not even funny. And it's, once you understand psychology of sales, which I've been trained in, and like NLP and sleight of mouth, lots of cool things a lot of people don't understand. It's not that the person doesn't have the money. It's that they don't understand their reptilian brain and that their resistance is coming up. And so instead of leaning in and hiring me and taking that leap of faith and that step, which changes everything in their lives, they lean back and they have all these reasons. I need to talk to my wife. I need to talk to my husband. They're called objections. The objections are the lies that are keeping you stuck. Those objections and those fears are keeping you in the same patterns. And it's costing possibly millions of dollars, hundreds and thousands of dollars versus whatever I'm charging for my program. It costs way more to live in fear and to move away from what's going to challenge you than it ever will, because you're going to stay the same. And you're going to realize that a year from now, you're going to look back a year and be like, man, I'm in the same place I was last year.
Yeah, it doesn't cost money. It costs time.
Oh, it costs time, energy, relationships, health, wealth, all of it. And so like, that's the second thing is like really understanding fear, that it is a mechanism in the mind and that it's controlling you and you're not in the driver's seat. And that's dangerous.
That's the biggest thing is losing the things I lost. Money don't buy.
No.
And it was time, events with family members and different people.
Yeah.
And relationships that I'm not going to get back.
Yeah.
And those things that's what makes me want to change.
Yeah.
And finish the whatever amount of layers I need, is because you don't get those things back.
No, you don't. And I would say the third and final thing that I see very common in a lot of people that need to do this work is, this one's a hard one. I think this is really going to rock the boat. I work with a lot of people that are married. And I work in a lot of marriages. Like I could be a relationship coach because I'm so skilled in this area. But I'm telling you, so many people are so afraid of the truth that they're already aware of, and they don't want to face the truth that their relationship needs to end. And they're getting comfortable in the discomfort of being with someone that they know they're not happy with. They know they need to end the relationship, and they're so afraid to do it, but they're sacrificing every aspect of themselves just to be in the relationship, or it's for the kids or it's for the money. I will tell you right now that relationships are the biggest part of our evolution as a human race. And when you're in an unhealthy relationship, it is deadly. Like it is deadly. It's probably the worst thing that I've ever worked with as a hypnotherapist. And I see it so often in Utah. I see it more in Utah than I have anywhere else of people that I've worked with. And so when you're afraid to confront your own truth, you're abandoning yourself and you're also enabling the other person. And talk about lack of growth. Enabling is so toxic and unhealthy. To enable someone, you're pretty much saying, I don't actually love you. I'm not going to allow you to grow. I'm going to stay with you and keep myself safe, which is selfish behavior on the other part. I just think that's the most toxic dynamic I've ever seen in my life. And it's not coming from a place of judgment. I've done it in the past. This is lived experience.
Yeah, that's a experience and projection for yourself. Like you don't want to step back into that realm because you know the icky feeling of what that person is.
Yeah.
That's the way I look at those things too.
Yeah. So that's the third thing. So like those are the three things that I work on the most within people is their inner child pain. They don't want to look at the unhealthy relationships that they're in and their money blocks. Like those are the big 3 pillars. Yeah.
All created by our social norms and what society what society I don't know.
It's indoctrination. Yeah, we're all indoctrinated.
Yeah. Yep. So get off the conveyor belt.
Yeah, for real. Like get out of the hole. Like you don't have to be in there.
When you're offered the red or the blue pill, make the good decision.
Oh man, like seriously, that's the best thing I ever did for myself.
All right. Thank you for being here.
Yeah.
It was another amazing podcast. We'll have you on more often and many steps. I'll find tidbits from this one so we can dive deeper into like relationships and maybe we can have another person on too that's big on relationships and we can debate or whatever needs to happen there.
Oh, that'd be fun. I love that.
Fun. All right. Well,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. And then where can they find you?
Oh yeah. So Instagram, Facebook, it's Heal, Heal with Felicia, and then Felicia Marie on Facebook. And that's the best way to contact me. I actually have a link in my bio finally. I've been working on my website.
I was going to ask.
Yep. So I finally have that all dialed in. I actually have a container for women. I'm working with a lot of women to help them reclaim their feminine energy and their feminine power, their voice, their intuition. And so I'm going to be running constant coaching containers for women that really need help with that, which is like most women in Utah. Hate to drop the religion bomb, but it is a real thing here for women to be like pushed down and to not have a voice and to trust themselves. So I have that link in my bio now. I
didn't understand that until I started dating these girls that are post LDS, and there's some big red flags there. I mean, I love them. They're good people, but holy crap.
Yeah, my heart hurts for them, honestly.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So.
But all right. Once again, thanks for listening. This is Just in Our Minds. Have a great day, everybody.